Hello, this is a video for October 6th for Math Models B. The original classroom video did not take, so this is just a repeat of getting started with that worksheet, parent graphs and transformations. So let me switch over to the camera and we'll work from a paper document that I have, which is almost the same as yours. I'm going to show you a couple of changes. So this one is in the Google Classroom. It's called Parent Graphs and Transformations. And what you need to kind of have in your mind are the parent functions, the main ones. If it's horizontal, it's constant. If it's diagonal, and it can either be diagonal positive or negative, it's linear. The V is absolute value. We're not learning this one. Quadratic is the U. The cubic shuffle, I call it, it's just a twisty one. And the square root, we're really not learning this one, it's the cube root, it's the partner with this one. They're called inverse. So these are inverse and these are inverse. And the exponential, we're doing this one, and the reciprocal. These two are inverse. We're not really doing that one, but it's just the same shape switched around, but I'm definitely going to do this one. So there's a few other ones that are out there, or there's a lot more, but these are the ones for high school that we focus on. And so I need to know which family it belongs to. And then I need to know what's happening to it. And this is just a hand version of the transformation chart that you have. That's the one you have is a little bit neater. But we want to look at three places. We're going to look out in front of the X. We're going to look inside with the X. Now it's either inside parentheses, but today we're adding that it could be inside of absolute value lines, or it could be inside of a square root, or the parentheses. If it's outside or at the end, it's your up or down number. If it's plus, it's up. If it's minus, it's down. Now remember, the plus or minus that's inside with the X kind of works opposite of what you think. If it goes to the left, if it's positive, it's going to go to the left. And if it's negative, it's going to go to the right, which again, it's opposite of what usually happens along that X-axis. So I'm going to keep this in mind and this in mind. Now, before I get started with this one, I just want to point out that there are a couple that on the one that got posted to Google Classroom are slightly different. And we'll get to those. So just real quickly go through, make sure that, so this is number one is the same. Number two is the same. Number three, it has an extra 2 inside that we're not going to work with. So just on number three, we're going to work from this one. There's a negative in front and there's a 2 behind, but there's not 1 inside. We're not going there. I think this one is the same. This one is the same. I'm pretty sure this one is the same. This one's a little different. This one has an extra negative someplace that we're not going to deal with. And this is the one we're working with. I know there's one other one that's a little different. So these are they're just a slightly more, there's a couple that go into something a little bit more than we're learning. And these are the ones. So it's almost the same, and that's why it tricked me. I thought it was the same exact one because they're pretty much the same. So let's get started. This is phase 1 of this worksheet, and then tomorrow we're going to do phase 2. What I want to do is find the parent function. What family does it belong to? What are the transformations? And then do a sketch of a graph. So to do the parent function, you want to always look at what's happening to the X. So to do, again, the parent function tells me what family, and the x is being squared. And so when x is being squared, it's a quadratic. We just studied all those. And that tells me that I'm looking at the basic shape. So I need to kind of have that shape in my mind. Then we're going to read the transformations. And I'm going to start looking right after the equal sign. And what I see is nothing. It goes right to the x. So it's not reflecting, it's not stretching, it's not compressing. There's nothing in front here. I don't see any parentheses, so there's nothing right or left. I just see a -1 at the end. So that's after the square, so minus is down. So the only transformation for this one is that it shifts down 1. So I'm going to take the vertex, that's the point that's going to shift down, and it's going to go down 1 space, because it's usually at the origin. So I'm going to go down, and then I'm just going to draw a basic parabola. The only point that's perfect on this graph is the vertex. The rest of it is just kind of a sketch. But so this is really just a review of what we've done. Now we're going to take it a little bit further and look at a different one. Now this one, to do the parent function, again, I'm going to focus on what's with the x. So the x is inside these bars. And if you'll remember what those bars are, and you have your notes, this is, if you want to look at week 2, Wednesday's assignment, that's where you have your notes on one of those. But here's the bars, and it says absolute value, and there's the bars, so it's in this family. So this one is part of the absolute value family, which means it's some version of that V shape, because all of those have the V shape. Now I'm going to take a look at the transformations. And starting after the equal sign, the first thing I see is a 2. And this is in front of the x. So if in front of the x, you have a number that's greater than 1, it's a stretch. There it is. This is 2x squared, but this is 2 of this. So this is still a stretch, which means it gets thin, remember, or skinny. And the next thing I'm going to look at is that -1. And I'm going to think, is that -1 in the front, inside, or outside? So it's not in front of the x. And instead of being in parentheses, it is inside the bars. So it's a minus. So that means this one is going, it's going to shift right 1 space. Now to do the sketch of the graph, when I've got more than one thing, I want to pay attention to anything that says up, down, right, or left. If you see any of those 4 words, up, down, right, left, you can do that first. And on this one, it's still the vertex. It's that point right here. I'm going to take that point and shift it to the right 1 space. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my V, but I'm going to draw it stretched or thin. So just doesn't have to be perfect. The only graph is perfect is the vertex. Now tomorrow we're going to go and we're going to write some more. We're going to do some more stuff here, but today this is what we're focusing on. Let me look at one more, and then I'm going to shut this one down. Give me a second here. So I'm going to do this one, and again, this one is slightly different than the one that you have on. There's yours has an extra 2 inside here that we're not going to use, so just ignore that 2 or rewrite it. What I want to look at is what's the parent function. And I look at where the x is, and it's inside this little house. And if you want to look through those notes, and here it's this one. It's the square root. So I'm going to put the name of it. And I'm gonna just tell myself, you don't really have to do this, but I like to do it because it tells me what shape to draw it. So that's the shape, and it usually starts from the origin and goes out like this. This is the one I call the crooked finger. Now I'm gonna look at the reflections, the transformations, which the first thing I see after the equal sign is a negative, and I just kind of bleeped it out because my brain knew what was going to happen, is that negative is going to reflect it or flip it. And this one reflects across the x-axis, this is like your mirror. Now then the question is this -2 on the inside with the x or outside at the end? And it is outside, which means this one goes down 2. So just, it's not this one. If you see the square root sign goes all the way above the top of the 2, is extended, then that's inside. This would be right 2, but this one is down because the line stops right there above the x, and it doesn't go over the top. So you might see one like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first look for the words up, down, right, left, and I see this one, down 2. I'm going to take that point, and I'm going to move down 2. And then instead of this one going up, it's going to reflect and go down. And that's some samples. You know, if you get stuck on any one of these, just give me a call, contact me, and I'd be happy to get you unstuck.